Hello everyone, and welcome back to True Crime Inspector. Today we're delving into a chilling case that unfolded in an upscale London neighborhood, the case of Sabrina Kouider. Sabrina Kouider, a British woman, seemed to have all the opportunities to achieve the fabulous, rich, and carefree life she'd always yearned for since a young age. Yet it appeared that nothing could ever truly satisfy her. No partner met her exacting standards, and she harbored an unquenchable thirst for fame, attention, and luxury. Her unfulfilled aspirations and relentless fantasies eventually transformed into delusions, accompanied by disturbing episodes of violence. Tragically, Sabrina directed her pent-up anger towards an innocent and defenseless woman, turning this case into one of the most appalling and high-profile in British history. Let's start by exploring Sabrina Kouider's early years. She was born on December 5, 1982, in a London suburb, inheriting a unique blend of French-Algerian heritage from her parents. This distinctive mix likely played a role in shaping her striking appearance and fiery temperament. Sabrina Kouider was the eldest among her siblings, one of 4 children in her family, and she held a special place in their hearts, often being praised and held up as a role model. At the age of 2, her family made the move to France, settling in Paris, where she spent the majority of her formative years. It was during her school years that the complexities of Sabrina's character began to emerge. Former classmates recollected that she exhibited traits of arrogance, dominance, self-absorption, and extreme selfishness. She had very few friends, both at school and within her neighborhood, as she deemed those around her unworthy of her time and attention. Sabrina displayed a particular hostility towards other bright and outgoing girls, perceiving them as competitors and adversaries. With her stunning physical features, characterized by her striking brunette hair, brown eyes, and an impressive figure, Sabrina possessed the potential to pursue a career in modeling if she had the ability to connect with others rather than seeking to manipulate them. During her childhood, she showed an interest in sports and dabbled in music during her youth. However, her inconsistency, impatience for quick results, and lack of effort proved to be obstacles to her success in any field. In later years, Sabrina claimed that she had endured harsh treatment from her maternal relatives in France during her early upbringing, offering a glimpse into the challenges she faced during her youth. However, these claims of harsh treatment during her early years remained unverified and unsubstantiated. On the contrary, Sabrina's own family contended that she was indulged and consistently sought attention. During her teenage years, while actively participating in sports, Sabrina suffered a back injury that eventually led to a reliance on prescription painkillers. Her quest for these drugs even led to her involvement in illegal activities, resulting in her arrest and a police warning. Sabrina always maintained an intense focus on herself and her appearance, perpetually yearning for attention. She held an unwavering belief that her future held a life of wealth, glamour, celebrity encounters, and her own rise to stardom. At times, it seemed as though her vivid fantasies blurred the lines of reality, as she firmly believed that her rightful place was in Hollywood. Sabrina graduated from the Sorbonne, holding a degree in English and French literature. However, from 2006 onward, she claimed to hold various positions within the fashion industry, such as stylist, makeup artist, fashion designer, despite lacking genuine expertise in these areas. Sabrina's relationships with men were marked by complexity, particularly her connection with Wissam Madouni. Known for her stunning looks, Sabrina had a knack for captivating men and exploiting their affections. However, she never deemed any of her lovers worthy of a serious and committed relationship. She appeared to be waiting for a prince who would unquestioningly submit to her every whim. Even after completing her education, Sabrina remained uncertain about her life goals, harboring a sense of entitlement to everything without exerting any effort. Nevertheless, Sabrina took steps to further her education by enrolling at the prestigious Sorbonne University. To support herself financially, she also took up employment at a sweet shop. It was here at the age of 18 that she crossed paths with Wissam Madouni. Maduni, 6 years her senior, served as a manager at a prominent French company's headquarters while pursuing a master's degree at one of Paris's most esteemed universities to advance his career. Despite not possessing the attributes of classic handsomeness or being affiliated with elite clubs or celebrity circles, Maduni fell deeply in love with Sabrina and was prepared to cater to her every whim and fancy. Sabrina, in turn, found Maduni attractive, viewing him as both someone she could manipulate and a gateway to a life of affluence. Maduni was ambitious and had the potential for significant career success, and he was more than willing to pamper and indulge her. The couple commenced their relationship in 2000, and within a matter of months, they made the decision to move in together. It didn't take long for Sabrina's true nature to emerge as she began exerting control over every aspect of Maduni's life. If her demands went unmet, she resorted to tantrums, manipulative tactics, and even physical violence. Moreover, she soon began openly engaging in infidelity, making no effort to conceal her actions or justify her behavior. She was willing to have casual liaisons with anyone, from a mere acquaintance to Maduni's closest friends or colleagues. Despite multiple attempts to break free from the relationship and leave Sabrina, Wissam Maduni found himself continually drawn back, unable to sever the deep emotional connection he had with her. In 2001, Maduni achieved his master's degree and secured a significant promotion, resulting in a substantial increase in his income. He spared no expense in lavishing Sabrina with luxurious clothing and entertainment. His family owned multiple properties in Paris, and he managed them, channeling all the rental income to Sabrina. Maduni, who shared Franco-Algerian roots with Sabrina, saw a kindred spirit in her. According to some reports, in the fall of 2001, the couple underwent a special Muslim ceremony that was documented by a certificate issued by the Argenteuil Mosque. However, it's important to note that this religious ceremony did not grant the union official legal status. During their time together, Sabrina and Maduni had a son, and Maduni officially acknowledged his paternity. However, years later, a Frenchman named Anthony Francois asserted that he was the child's biological father. Francois, who served as a witness in Sabrina Kouider's trial, depicted her as volatile, unpredictable, promiscuous, and manipulative. In 2008, the global financial crisis took a toll on the company where Wissam Maduni was employed, leading to his job loss due to the firm's bankruptcy. It was during this period that Sabrina Kouider became fixated on the idea of relocating to London. She made this decision with little input from her partner. Left with limited alternatives and hopeful for a fresh career start in one of the world's major financial hubs, Maduni followed Sabrina to London. Once in London, Maduni secured a job at a prominent English bank. However, Sabrina encountered significant challenges while attempting to establish herself in the fashion industry. Her aspirations to become a designer, model, or makeup artist were hampered by her lack of skills, experience, and formal education in these fields. Consequently, she had to readjust her expectations. Over time, she engaged in a variety of jobs, including working in a call center, a cafe, and even venturing into network marketing. In her pursuit of love, Sabrina's path took a different turn when she rekindled her teenage passion for music, adding the titles of musician and composer to her list of endeavors. Despite her enthusiasm, Sabrina found it challenging to secure professional opportunities within the music industry. She attended numerous auditions and social events, hoping to establish valuable connections. At one such event, fate intervened, bringing Sabrina face-to-face with Mark Walton. Mark, a renowned musician, songwriter, and one of the founding members of the famous Irish boy band Boyzone, had transitioned into a successful producer and music mogul after leaving the group. His collaborations included renowned artists like Jennifer Lopez, Jessica Simpson, and Lady Gaga, and by 2016, his net worth had exceeded $1 billion. Mark was precisely the type of person Sabrina had always dreamed of encountering, a gateway to a world of fame and luxury. She managed to captivate Mark with her beauty and charisma, leaving him spellbound and openly confessing to falling in love at first sight. His thoughts were consumed by the stunning woman, and their relationship rapidly progressed. Sabrina made concerted efforts to be pleasant and endearing, swiftly concluding her relationship with Maduni as she envisioned a promising future with Mark. His prior relationship and child posed no deterrent for her. Within a matter of weeks, the couple decided to take their relationship to the next level by moving in together, choosing a luxurious residence in an upscale area of London as their shared abode. Mark assumed all financial responsibilities, including the rent for the extravagant house personally selected by Sabrina. For several months, Sabrina basked in the opulent lifestyle she had long yearned for, mingling with celebrities, attending exclusive events, adorning herself in couture fashion, and even gracing the pages of glossy magazines. However, managing Mark proved to be a challenging endeavor for Sabrina, driven by her fear of losing him. She struggled to suppress her natural inclinations and soon began exhibiting signs of jealousy towards any woman in Mark's vicinity. Over time, her demands escalated as she sought more extravagant gifts and luxuries. Mark complied, showering her with designer clothing, jewelry, and outings to upscale restaurants and clubs, but Sabrina's desires were insatiable. The couple's residence witnessed a revolving door of staff and nannies, as Sabrina's unfounded paranoia led her to suspect theft or attempts to seduce Mark. Her irrational behavior eventually pushed Mark to his breaking point. In 2011, Mark terminated their relationship and relocated to California, leaving Sabrina with nothing. Losing Mark also entailed forfeiting the lavish lifestyle she had grown accustomed to. Sabrina resorted to giving interviews in which she accused Mark of cruelty, violence, and substance abuse. She made tearful phone calls to him, pleading for his return, and even resorting to threats of self-harm, but none of these tactics succeeded in persuading him to come back. Following her breakup with Mark Walton, Sabrina Kouider reconnected with her former partner, Wissam Maduni. Maduni, whose career as a bank executive was flourishing, readily forgave and accepted her back into his life, harboring lingering feelings for her. Upon reconciling with Maduni, they resumed cohabiting. Shortly thereafter, Sabrina discovered she was expecting a child. She promptly informed Walton, who, through his legal representatives, expressed his readiness to provide financial support for both the child and Sabrina, offering a monthly allowance. However, Walton insisted on conducting a paternity test after the child's birth to confirm his biological connection. Sabrina, however, declined to undergo the test, revealing her uncertainty regarding the child's parentage. Instead of agreeing to the test, which could have secured her a substantial regular allowance, she demanded that Walton double the proposed financial support. Upon his refusal, she initiated a fierce conflict against the musician. Sabrina took to social media, disseminating unfounded claims that Walton was fixated on her, irrationally jealous of Maduni, and had resorted to physical threats against them. She accused Walton of unlawfully entering their residence, assaulting Maduni, causing distress to the children, and subjecting her to sexual misconduct in perverse ways. However, she failed to substantiate her allegations, as Walton had a solid alibi, having been in the United States since their separation. Following Walton's defamation lawsuit and police warnings, Sabrina temporarily ceased her accusations against her former partner. She resettled with Maduni and their 2 children in Wimbledon, southwest London, apparently leading a more tranquil life as the conflict appeared to have been resolved. In her pursuit of domestic assistance and childcare, Sabrina Kouider, who was unaccustomed to managing household duties and found it challenging to handle 2 children, opted to employ a nanny who could also assist with domestic chores. She advertised the job online and personally conducted interviews. Most of the candidates did not meet her expectations, and those who did not remain in her household for long. A young French woman named Sophie Lionnet responded to the job advertisement. At that time, Sophie, aged 19, resided in her provincial hometown in France, which led to the interview being conducted via a video call. She agreed to the terms outlined in the job description, which included childcare, household assistance, and cooking, all in exchange for a meager weekly wage of 50 British pounds. This wage encompassed her accommodation and meals provided by the employer. Born on January 7, 1996, in the small town of Troyes, located between Auxerre and Sens, Sophie was raised by her parents, Catherine and Patrick Lionnet, who were ordinary workers struggling to make ends meet. After completing her education, Sophie earned a child care diploma but aspired to move to a larger city rather than pursuing a career in her provincial hometown. Although known for her reserved and unassuming demeanor, Sophie possessed a kind and open-hearted nature, endearing herself to those who knew her. She wore glasses due to her poor vision, which occasionally made her self-conscious. During their conversation, Kouider recognized Sophie's unpretentious character, making her an ideal candidate for her manipulative intentions. Moreover, Sophie's eagerness to gain experience and acquire positive references made her willing to accept minimal wages. To Sophie, Sabrina appeared as a serious and dependable employer, a perception she shared with her parents before embarking on her journey to London. As the benevolent employers morphed into sophisticated sadists, the initial period seemed favorable for Sophie Lionnet, who innocently believed that working for the Kouider family marked a promising start to her career as a nanny. She swiftly formed a bond with the children, executed household tasks in compliance with her contract, and had the opportunity to enhance her proficiency in the English language and explore the city's attractions. This tranquil phase endured for several months, and all appeared to be running smoothly. However, complications arose when Maduni lost his job, and the family's sole stable income source became the monthly child support payments from Walton. Sabrina once again demanded increased financial support from Walton, who, in response, requested a DNA test to confirm his paternity. The family found themselves in dire financial straits, struggling to cover the costly rent and basic living expenses. Sabrina, reluctant to make any concessions to her lavish lifestyle and determined to uphold her socialite status, became increasingly irritable and aggressive, often venting her frustration on the young nanny. Desperate to find a solution, the couple attempted to launch a bakery business with their remaining funds, but their endeavor ended in failure. Subsequently, Sabrina turned to Walton, seeking a substantial sum of money to kickstart her clothing line. However, her request was met with an unequivocal refusal, resulting in tears and complaints about their financial difficulties. Sabrina frequently voiced her grievances to Lionnet, who attempted to provide comfort and support. The subsequent events differ depending on the source. According to one account, Kouider devised a plan to manipulate Sophie into becoming a tool for blackmail against Walton. She intended to depict Sophie as Walton's co-conspirator and lover, claiming that Sophie had been planted in their household to disrupt their lives and jeopardize the safety of the children. Sabrina believed that recording the nanny's false confessions on tape or video would serve as evidence to demand compensation from Walton for his alleged wrongdoing. However, Sophie adamantly refused to provide false statements on camera. Another perspective, presented by Kouider's defense during the trial, argued that due to her mental disorder, Sabrina genuinely believed in her unfounded conspiracy theory. She viewed Sophie as an adversary and a menace to her family. Allegedly, Sabrina did not coerce the nanny into making false testimonies, but truly believed that Sophie was an accomplice of Walton, infiltrating their household to cause harm. Regardless of the veracity of these accounts, Sophie's life quickly descended into a nightmarish ordeal. Initially, young Frenchwoman Sophie Lionnet found herself burdened with additional responsibilities, all without any corresponding increase in her meager salary. She was soon forced into an unrelenting cycle of chores, from dawn until late at night, leaving her with no personal time and effectively imprisoned within the walls of the house. Furthermore, Sophie's meager pay was abruptly halted, and her employers took extreme measures to prevent her from escaping or returning to France by confiscating her passport, rendering her a captive against her will. Her ability to communicate with her family was closely monitored and severely restricted. As time passed, Sophie's dire situation only deteriorated further. She received meager sustenance and faced relentless pressure to provide false accusations against Walton, an individual she had never met or had any knowledge of. Communication with her captors consisted solely of screams, insults, and threats. Accused of theft and the misappropriation of money and valuables, she faced the constant threat of imprisonment should she fail to comply with their demands against the musician. When the tactics of screaming and extortion proved ineffective, the Kouider couple resorted to even more brutal and sinister methods. Sophie was effectively relocated to a cold, forbidding basement where she spent the majority of her time when not engaged in exhausting labor. Her meager meals were reduced to just once or twice a day, causing her to become emaciated and physically weakened, further deepening the horrors of her captivity. However, the ordeal of enduring cold and hunger paled in comparison to the physical abuse Sophie was subjected to. It all began with slaps and hair pulling, but the situation escalated dramatically when Sabrina violently assaulted Sophie, breaking her nose and causing blood to flow. This act seemed to trigger Sabrina's fury, leading to daily beatings for Sophie. Each passing day brought forth new, excruciating methods of cruelty, meticulously designed to inflict unbearable pain and suffering. Within the confines of this affluent London residence, the basement was transformed into a harrowing chamber of torture for Lionnet, where the prospect of rescue seemed increasingly remote. In late summer 2017, Sabrina Kouider took the unfortunate Sophie Lionnet to a police station, asserting that Sophie was prepared to testify against Mark Walton. Sabrina claimed that Sophie had allegedly been involved in a romantic and criminal relationship with Walton and had been sent to their home to harm the children. However, when questioned by the police, Sophie remained silent, steadfastly refusing to say what Sabrina demanded. As a result, the police decided to speak with Sophie in private, taking her to an isolated room. Sabrina was outraged and feared that Sophie might divulge the horrors transpiring in their home, implicating both her and her husband. Strangely, Sophie chose not to reveal any details or seek assistance from the authorities. The police's response was equally baffling. Despite encountering a malnourished, terrified, and physically weakened young woman, they made no effort to summon a doctor or psychologist to assess her well-being and ensure her safety. At the time, the 21-year-old Nanny weighed less than 40 kilograms, had experienced partial hair loss, was missing a front tooth, and displayed noticeable signs of physical distress, including a pronounced limp. Astonishingly, none of these alarming indicators raised any concerns among the officers, and they allowed everyone to return home without further intervention. In mid-September, Sophie Lionnet made her final phone call to her mother, overwhelmed with tears and despair. She confessed to her mother that she desperately wanted to return home, but had no money to do so. Catherine, without pressing for further details, assured her daughter that she would purchase a ticket for her and urged her to pack her bags immediately. Sadly, this marked the last time Catherine would hear her daughter's voice. A few days later, on the evening of September 20th, 2017, the Kouiders' neighbors were prompted to call the police when they noticed a fire in the yard. While the fire itself initially did not raise significant alarm, the neighbors were deeply disturbed by the sickening, sweet, and greasy odor emanating from it. One neighbor immediately recognized the odor as that of burning flesh and hair, mixed with an unidentifiable component. The thick smoke from the fire permeated the surrounding area, clinging to clothes and skin, leaving a permanent impression. Firefighters and a police car swiftly arrived at the scene. The homeowners, appearing oddly calm and seemingly oblivious to the reason for the emergency services visit, greeted them. As the fire was extinguished, the charred remains of a human hand were discovered among the ashes. The couple was promptly taken into custody, and the severely burnt human remains were carefully retrieved from the fire. Although the gender and age of the deceased were difficult to discern initially, the body was ultimately identified as that of Sophie Lionnet. Recognition came through the melted metal frame of the glasses embedded in her skull, which Sophie always wore. Determining the cause of Sophie Lionet's death posed a significant challenge, given the extensive destruction of her body by the fire. Forensic experts uncovered multiple rib fractures, cracks in her jaw, and evidence of blunt force trauma on her skull and limbs, indicating that she had sustained these injuries while still alive. Moreover, several of her teeth were missing, and her nose had suffered severe damage. These findings pointed to the fact that Sophie had endured prolonged and brutal beatings, resulting in broken bones and knocked-out teeth. Unfortunately, due to the extent of the fire damage, it was impossible to assess the condition of her internal organs or identify any potential penetrating wounds. The discovery of horrifying video recordings within the house depicting Sophie being subjected to torture and coerced into making false confessions about colluding with Walton and intending to harm the children unveiled the true sadistic nature of her captors. Sophie Lionet's ordeal was marked by unimaginable cruelty. She endured relentless physical abuse, suffering beatings with fists, an iron cord, a golf club, and even electric shock torture. The sadistic tormentors also subjected her to degrading humiliations, such as forcing her to submerge her head in a toilet until she began to suffocate. Tragically, experts believe that Sophie likely died from asphyxiation before her body was burned on the pyre, sparing her from the agony of being alive during the burning. When Sabrina Kouider and Wissam Madani faced trial for their heinous crime, they vehemently denied guilt and exhibited no remorse for their brutal actions. Shockingly, after committing the murder, Madani carried on with his day, calmly going to a nearby supermarket to purchase firelighter fluid for burning the body and dinner for his family, behaving as if nothing unusual had occurred. The initial court hearings against this sadistic couple commenced in March 2018. During the trial, Sabrina attempted to portray herself as a victim, placing blame on Mark Walton for pushing her to a pathological state with his relentless torment. Medical examinations revealed that Sabrina suffered from mental disorders but was not deemed insane and could comprehend the consequences of her actions. In contrast, Wissam, physically healthy, appeared psychologically dependent on Sabrina, displaying blind obedience to her. Testimonies from witnesses painted a picture of Sabrina as a cunning manipulator rather than a madwoman, as she calculated her actions with precision. Another witness asserted that she consistently fabricated enemies, but did so for selfish motives and with rational intent. Ultimately, on June 26, 2018, the court found the couple guilty of torturing, humiliating, and murdering their nanny under especially grave circumstances. In light of their heinous crimes, they received life sentences with the possibility of parole only after serving 30 years. Neither of them admitted guilt and continuously pursued appeals in an attempt to reduce their sentences. Sabrina's attempt to feign insanity in hopes of transferring from prison to a hospital was unsuccessful. Mark Walton, who was present at the trial, expressed profound guilt over the horrific actions of his former lover as she committed these heinous crimes in an attempt to gain his attention and financial compensation. In a gesture of remorse and sympathy, he offered his deepest condolences to the victim's grieving parents and voluntarily issued a substantial check to support the family who tragically lost their beloved daughter. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell, as there are many more shocking stories to come.